Ryan, my screen got really small, and so I don't want to get distracted here, but hey, it's good to see you guys. It is, yes, Tuesday. The year is flying by, July 15th. Ryan, are you feeling like this year is getting away from us quicker than we'd like to think?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think I heard Sean talk about earlier on the radio, 5 or 6 days away from 6 months in.
Oh, oh yes. Yeah.
And I mean, that's kind of where we're at.
Sorry, I'm still trying to manipulate. You gotta love it when right before you go live on your podcast, things start kind of getting. Now I look. Ryan is really small. I'm trying to get the comments section open, and but everything. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
And Ryan's a little bit bigger. There we go. I can
Mhm.
increase it. Hey, there we go. Mrs. Producer just jumped on. All right. So Ryan, obviously we know people are going to the audience is going to build, so we thank you for coming here. Tuesdays the DPB show. Yes, it is free flowing. It is truly something that just finds its own way, which we rely upon faith and we rely upon prayer, and but we also plan ahead of time that there's things that we believe need to be said on each show. And today's show, Are Term Limits Possible? And I want to kind of hit upon what exactly are, why are people pressing for term limits? There's plenty of people, mostly insiders and bureaucrats and professional politicians. Hey, Bob Berwin. Bob, it's good to see you. Hey guys, there we go. There's Mandork 1990.
Mhm.
It's good to see you. Thank you once again. I forget to mention the platforms are pretty straightforward. We're on Rumble, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're on X. If you fly over to Ryan's place of establishment at the Ryan Mack Show,
Yep.
Ryan is doing his content daily, 10 to 12 on Boiling Point Live, but also the Ryan Mack Show. Catch both of them. Once again, encourage you to go out, support Kat, just talk to Kat. We have maybe some news coming down the pipe. We're trying to, as we said, we're trying to bring our shows together, the content
Mhm.
together, and no different than what our guest last week, Rev from Boiling Point. We need more people just shouting it from the rooftops, because that's what's going to continue to make the movement grow stronger and
Mhm.
also become more informed. Hello there, Pam. Thanks for coming. It's always good to see you. But let's get to the term limit piece. Here it is right here. We It's called the Convention of States. And if you're not familiar with Convention of States, it is where you petition your state to join in on coming together as a convention to address issues on a federal level that you believe need to be handled. In this particular post on the Convention of States site, or I should say page on X, it says we can all agree that Washington is out of control. However, decades of experience show that electing better people, I love it when they say that, better people, because
Mhm.
that's what it takes. It just takes the next person. He's going to do a little better. He's not going to get bought off by the lobbyist. He's not going to succumb to the craziness of party rule. He's not, he's going to go and he's truly going to represent his district, his people, we the people. And unfortunately, well, let me go on. Won't fix the underlying problem. Better people won't. As the late economist Milton Friedman once observed, we
Mhm.
must not kid ourselves into thinking that we are going to remedy it by uh, the easy way of electing the right people, not the left people, but the right people into office. That will not work. With an Article 5 convention, that's what the Convention of States moves to utilize, is Article 5, and you can find that in the Constitution of the United States of America. As Ryan and I were talking about on Thursday's show, the Declaration of Independence very clearly outlines that at any time things don't uh, continue down the path of what we put forth as a declaration and as the Constitution, then it's time to maybe get serious about realignment or restoration to bring us back into the confines or into the context, the blueprint of the Constitution. With Article 5 convention, we can permanently limit federal spending, which is obviously a big part of what people were pushing back with the one big beautiful bill. Yes, we need to control spending because it's part of the reason we have a runaway debt program or runaway debt problem that might not be overcome ever. That's what they're hoping to do, is try to outgrow some of the craziness that was created under the Biden and Trump spent a lot of money during his first term, and Obama, of course. Those guys were looking to spend close to 50 trillion if they remained in office. If Kamala were the president, they would still be. But term limits or terms of office is another one. Spending power in terms of office, legally barring Congress from spending the country into financial collapse and ruin. Career politicians and unaccountable bureaucrats won't do the job for us. It's time that we take action. And you're hearing more people talk about this battle cry of an Article 5 Convention of States. What says you, Ryan? Tell us about some of the details besides what your opinion is.
Well, I don't know what the founders thought initially about why they didn't include term limits, but I know that from learning just how they thought about other things in general, they didn't imagine enriching your life through Congress. They didn't imagine going to Washington, D.C. and living a life of luxury and building your wealth at the expense of the American people. They thought that Congress would be so grueling and so exhausting that you would want to leave after a 1-term or 2-term situation, and that they didn't. I don't think they ever envisioned a situation like today. That's one of the many things they didn't think of that they should have. But they thought that we wouldn't have a selfish, greedy government at hand. I don't think.
Well, I mean, the fact that you would literally create, and I don't have time today. I might do it on Thursday if we have time, but Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and she named the names. I mean, in regards to the Chinese Communist Party is trying to destroy America. Not only was Joe Biden in bed with the Chinese, well, I should say maybe Hunter was in bed with them, but Hunter was in bed with, well, we're not going to go there. Hunter's, anyhow. But Marjorie Taylor Greene comes out and she definitely, we don't have enough states to get to a constitutional convention. Love me some Friedman, though. Yes, Donnie, we're going to cover that because we're going to give you the numbers. But Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and named names. I mean, to find out that so many companies in the United States were in bed with the Communist Chinese Party in truly trying to destabilize the American way of life. And she's named people from like Goldman Sachs. They know, and these people are brazen because they even report this is where the funding comes for all of the street violence and Antifa and everything else like that. So that in and of itself gets back to why it is we need Article 5 Convention of States. But let me tell you a little bit about what Article 5 says. And yes, I'm going to read from the Constitution. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessarily, shall propose amendments to this Constitution or on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention for the proposing amendments, which in either case shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress, provided that no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses in the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. How many states do we have right now? How many states are we looking at?
Let's pull up a map here. So we got, because there's some that's active, and there are some that are current. So let's do this. There's some new buttons here.
Pressing the buttons.
DPB style. Where? There it is. All right.
All right.
So this map shows. Do you get it?
Yep.
There we go.
Yep.
So this map explains which states are actively in the Convention of States. The yellow is passed in at least one of the chambers of the General Assemblies, and the blue is active legislation. So the blue, which shocking, Illinois is included in that, is one of the states that has active legislation taking place. So
right,
you need 38 to call a convention of state, 38 to ratify, 34 for convention of states. So we've got at least, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 states that have not even done anything. So, 41 states have been at least active in getting some kind of
and it's the drum beat's coming. I guess that's the point. Is nothing happens until something happens, right?
Yes.
We've got big issues here in Illinois. Same thing. It's good to see that Illinois is at least taking an interest in the conversation around Article 5, a convention of states. But we're seeing that many states, and this is not only blue states, it's red states, people are becoming aware, Donnie, if anything, it's helped that we've continued these conversations, because ultimately we know there's not a good politician out there. I mean, they're good people, they're likable people, but unfortunately, whether it's a Democrat, a Republican, is our friend Dan Bongino used to say, I'm not dating these people. I don't fall in love with them. I don't encourage you to fall in love with them either. I don't care. That's not what they're for. They are strictly a tool to get things accomplished. And Ryan, you've got an opinion about that. What do? They go out to Washington, and do they necessarily represent the people that elected them into office?
No, this is one thing that I guess has more recently, because I've seen congressmen and women voice their opinions in states that they don't reside in or that they don't represent. Now, it's one thing to have a collective voice in Congress, speaking of the American people that you represent as a whole, as a body. When all 535 members of Congress come together and they speak, that's fine. Individually, LaHood, I don't want LaHood talking about what's happening in Texas. I want him worried about what's happening in his district right here in Illinois.
Yeah,
I don't need Jayapal. I don't need
Jayapal
in Washington complaining about Florida and Alcatraz when she has more crap in Washington to deal with.
Yeah,
I don't understand the unified voices on the left and some on the right talk about crap hole states. I get it. You need to fix those states, but it's up to the representatives in those states to help fix those states. You need to be unified in the approach that if I fix my state and have the others do their part to fix their state, that's how we collectively fix the whole union. It's one of the things that has just recently come to mind that just drives me nuts is, why are you worried about things happening in Texas when your state's falling apart?
Yeah.
It's just, I don't understand.
Well, and you lose street cred, because once again, if you come from a state that isn't performing well, and what do I mean by performing well? I mean, they have rankings. Illinois ranks as one of the fiscally ranks as one of the poorest performing states, if not the poorest performing states. And most, studies, most, categories and where they put things forward. I mean, and it's surprising that our tyrannical governor, who literally is a tyrant, and when they talk about no kings, I find it fascinating because they don't like kings unless it's their king. And that's what J.B. Pritzker is. He is truly fortifying this state and legislating it to be somewhat of a fiefdom, surrounded by very productive states for the most part, whether you're talking about Indiana, Wisconsin, Kentucky, uh, Tennessee kind of is in a roundabout way, close enough that it borders Missouri, Iowa. I mean, that's Minnesota. You've got the heart of America. The heart of America is that state that's shaped as a heart, looks like a heart, and it's called Illinois. And this thing's not going to go away. Hence the reason we are in a position where you're hearing more about term limits and people waking up to what are some of the solutions to controlling Congress, controlling, the way things are done in Washington, D.C. Trump is allowed 2 terms. That's how it's put forth, right? I don't want more than 2 terms of Trump because Lord knows I do believe that we need more. I'm a personal believer that we don't, as the comment said, we don't need the right people, or a better person. We need better representatives. No, we need better processes. We need to follow the Constitution. We need for Washington, D.C. to basically be disassembled, and unfortunately, that's going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen during Trump's presidency. It's not going to happen the following presidency, the number 48, whoever that might be. But these are at least things that weren't discussed. You didn't go live on Facebook or Rumble or YouTube or X and have these conversations even 3 years ago. I don't remember it.
Yep.
I mean, I know there were people that were doing it, like Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan was definitely hitting on a lot of this. Dan Bongino was hitting on it. The Anti-Federalists had the right. The Constitution granted too much central power. It was always doomed from the start. Sad but true from my perspective. Thanks, Donnie. Yes, it's good perspective. That's the serious conversation. We couldn't come to this point, Donnie, until I think we reached some of the plateaus that we did, and whether that's open borders, whether that's the runaway debt program that we have, and the federal spending, the national debt obviously is crazy. You look at the border issue has opened up a plethora of things. I mean, the fact that human trafficking is like finally getting attention and justice is being served. There has been nobody more productive than Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0 and bringing to justice, and finding some of these kids and getting some of these kids out of that craziness, because Lord knows, where do you go after you get a young person freed and rescued from the abuse that goes on in the world of sex trafficking? So at the very least, it's become pronounced. We're having a conversation about it, right? We didn't talk about it during Biden because they weren't going to address the Tom Homan's number, which was 300,000. But yet Homan is, I've heard him speak in person. I mean, there's nothing that man isn't more dedicated to than young people and freeing them out of that tragedy, that horrific state of existence, which is being, abused in such horrific ways.
If you want to give credence to somebody who really is serious about solving the problem, Tom Homan came out of retirement twice
Yes.
to help fix this broken system. So there's anybody more dedicated than he is. He could have easily been like Trump after one term and running for the government before. It could have been done. Like, I'm in retirement. It's on somebody else now. But that shows true dedication to how broken the system was to come out of retirement twice and try to fix it.
Because people understand things are broken. I just broke into the DPB show. Broken. The state of Illinois is broken. Yes. Politicians are corrupt. Yes. They've been corrupt for a long time. As Donnie said, things were doomed in a lot of ways from the start. But it doesn't mean they can't be restored.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing. I mean, when you look at what is transpiring, we're going to spend the second part of the show talking about that. What has Trump truly been able to accomplish in a matter of 6 months? We're going to hit upon some of those high notes. But before we do this, and I think this is what some of us want to hear, especially my beautiful wife, Mrs. Producer. This was covered at Charlie Kirk's Turning Point. They have what's called the SAS. It's the Student Action Summit.
Yep.
Student Action Summit is being held down in Orlando. Rev from
Tampa.
Boiling. Yep. Tampa, not
Tampa.
Orlando.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Tampa. That's right. Every year it's in Tampa. Our very own Kat Peterson, or Kat Barker / Conservative Cat, has been to SAS. So has Kevin. Talked to Kevin Ferris last week. He was going to try to do today's show, but I know he's got a lot on his plate. And so we're going to try to get him on here in the next couple weeks. He has a lull at Liberty University in law school. He's just prepping himself for the next semester, which is going to come upon him before he knows it. But this is right from the Student Action Summit, Turning Point USA. This guy here is, I like him. He's part of Charlie Kirk's show. I can't remember his name.
Ben Bergquam.
Oh, thank you. See,
Yep.
I'm glad I have somebody young enough that remembers these people. So here he goes.
The MAGA base, I think, really doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. If you're on that list and you were raping children, you need to be in prison at minimum, if not executed. This is the mindset of MAGA. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. And so all of this, it all goes back to, if we don't have equal protection, if I don't trust that I'm getting the same level of constitutional rights and justice that some billionaire is getting, then I don't trust my government. And so it's bigger than just the Epstein list. It's about trusting our government. And if we don't have that, you lose all of those people, at least enough of them to make it to where you hand the country back to the Republican elite class and the Democrat elite class that drove us into this hell that we lived in under Biden.
Final thoughts, Jack, and then Julio, really quick.
At the end of the day, look, this is Donald Trump's movement, all right? This is his movement, and there's been a lot of signal. There's the back, there's the forth, and at the end of the day, this is a movement about justice for the things that the Biden administration, the Obama administration, that they did, okay? This is about things that they did. And for President Trump, he understands above all that all of these messes that, by the way, folks, he didn't have to do any of this. He did it because he cares about this country, he cares about the children, and he cares about the American people. And that's why we've got his back through thick and thin.
Yes, we do. We have his back through, yes. And you know what? I'm not giving up on Trump. Obviously, another piece that came out just here in the last couple days, and things are happening, right? Boom, boom, boom. We had the anniversary of the assassination attempt on President Trump's life. At that time, it was nominee Trump, presidential candidate for the Republican Party in Butler, Pennsylvania on July 13th, J13 in Pennsylvania, Butler, Pennsylvania. We just came through that, right? I've got a video. I think it's really telling, and I don't know if you've seen it. I've met this guy. His name's Brick Suit. I think Trump refers to the guy as the Wall. He goes, "There's the Wall," or the Wall Suit. Well, he calls him the Wall Suit. But Pozobic definitely hits on some good points. But I get it. The frustration of the people. We know this was built up in the media, which should give you every indication this was created. No different than the Steele dossier, because this is what these people do, right? They manufacture chaos you know, and I'm not saying that's not on both sides of the aisle. It is. But at the end of the day, as our Dan Bongino used to say, I just want results. I don't care how we do these things or who's doing what or what cowboy hat or what this person's saying. We've got definitive problems, which is why there's so much chatter around the Convention of States and Article 5, is because people want accountability. They want limited government. They want the power to return to the people. This little plaque back here behind the letters to Trump says it best. Thomas Jefferson. When the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people want liberty. We want justice for all. That's what that, what's his name? I'm sorry, I'm asking again. The guy that led off that interview, Ryan.
Ben Berkman.
Ben, like Ben said, you know, we want to know that we have the same rights that Ryan McKenzie of the Ryan Mack Show, David Paul Blumenshine of the DPB Show, Mrs. Producer of the Mrs. Producer Show, Donnie Henry. We all want to know that we have these rights that are protected, and these rights come from God, obviously, not from our government. They come from God. It states that in the Constitution. And that these unalienable rights are extended to every citizen of the United States of America and beyond, because as we've learned, you don't necessarily have to be a citizen to be extended the rights of our Constitution. Due process being one of it. We've heard a lot of chatter about that, but that's a whole nother show that we can do at another time. But we want to know that J.B. Pritzker doesn't have a certain constitution that he gets afforded. Whatever it might be, whatever law he might break, they need to be held accountable. A person across the world that was perpetrating crimes in the United States, yes, we need to go and get those people. So you look like you had something to say, Ryan.
Oh no, I just it was some good points there. I just the biggest thing is, if we're gonna fix and right the ship, unity is the only path forward. You can have debate and honest debate on both sides of the aisle. How do you fix things? But currently, right now, as constructed, the Democrat Party has been hijacked by the far left communists of the party. They have no intention of coming back to the center to kind of fix whatever they've been broken. And when you have Speaker Hakeem and Chuck, basically just leaders in name only, that's what you get. You get a division. And the Convention of States is a great idea, but I think there was another solution is that congressionally you can propose resolutions as well. Well, whether or not they're actually going to vote for themselves to be term limited is the other thing. But Ted Cruz and I believe somebody else put it up in 2022, and I think the committee shot it down because they didn't have control of it.
Yeah.
So it goes back to, it matters who you elect and who you have in those seats, because had that committee passed it out and it got into a floor vote, we could have had a very different situation. They probably could have been on board. I think the Freedom Caucus in the states and in Washington are probably on board with some kind of term limits. But I don't think you're going to get to 34 states.
Well, they're growing. I think right now.
And this goes back 10 years, at least. I saw the list of applications. Yeah. This has been going on for the last 10 years of joining the convention. So that takes time to build.
Yeah. And I got on board with the Convention of States people, the COS. I also am on board with Save Our Constitution or Restore Our Constitution, ROC. I'm in favor of anybody that wants to get back to the basics, like Waylon Jennings. Let's get back to the basics of love. Let's go to Lookenbach, Texas, Waylon and Willing and the boys. But you know what? You're right. I want to get back to Patrick Henry, Sam Adams, George Mason, these are the voices. And Donnie, thank you for sharing that with us. The plan of government now proposed that is evidently calculated totally to change in time our condition as a people. From being 13 district Confederate states, we are to become one consolidated government, federal farmer number 2. I just think it's important to recognize that some of the founders saw this coming. Yes, I mean,
Yes.
the evidence, that's what I'm saying. I think that's what I love about Bongino's comment is these people are my wife was saying this, Mrs. Producer. They're humans.
Mm-hmm.
Human beings do human being things, you know, and they do more human being things, you know, and good and bad. Unfortunately, in a world that we exist, it's a lot more good than bad. Unfortunately, bad tends to rise and basically permeate culture quicker than good. You know, you have wonderful good things that happen, you never talk about them. And we're going to talk about a few of those things here in the second half of the show that have been good here in the last 6 months, because I think it's important to accentuate the positives and eliminate the negatives. And but I wanted to show you this because I think it's important that we realize the magnitude of what transpired on July 13th, 2024. This is from my friend Brick Suit. Go out, like, share his content, subscribe to his page on X. If you ever wondered what it was like to be looking at the stage in Butler, not being able to see President Trump after he was shot, and then feeling relief when he stood and shook his fist in defiance, this video will give you a sense of how it felt. Here you go.
The president's been shot. Oh, no. No. Either that or they're covering. We don't know. Either that or they're covering him. We love you. We love you, President Trump. We love you. We love you, President Trump. We love you. Yes. 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 We love you, President Trump. No. Oh, no, he's shot. He's shot. Oh, who did it?
USA.
It could just be his ear.
Could just be his ear. Somebody, that's pretty good eyesight there.
Who did it? Dude, that's fucking wild.
Look at the screen. That beautiful Ron Johnson graph that he put up. But I mean, I don't know, Ryan, when you watch that, I mean, what stands out to me, and I know if many people have reported on this, is he did not, I mean, nobody, not Brick Suit, not anybody. Obviously, we know Corey behind the podium, unfortunately, covering his family, his wife and his kids, you know, sacrificed his life by sheltering their lives, and a bullet did connect with, you know, in his head, and it killed him. But most of those people weren't leaving the stands. I think they were in utter shock, but just the tenacity that they didn't cause a literal, you know, stampede of people. People were, I mean, more people were sitting there. They were concerned because they kind of realized what just took place, but they didn't freak out.
Yeah, that's a really unusual situation, because usually when you hear gunshots, people flee as soon as they hear them to safer ground. And I think people are just shocked because most of them, I would say probably half that crowd, weren't alive when Reagan was shot or weren't around for JFK. So that they really kind of just like, wow, this is happening in 2025. A presidential candidate has been shot at. It's one of those things like I don't know how to explain if I were there. I don't think I would be able to say much or do much. I'd just be in shock also. But how surreal a situation is.
Guys, if you ever want to know what's inside my head, that it could be scary if you try to venture. I'm going through the content of social media just like you are. Ryan does the same thing. I know Ryan spends a lot of time doing deep dives on content, stories. Go to my Facebook page, go mostly to my X page, because I'm going to post at the DPB show some of the things that really stick out to me. One of those happens to be yesterday. It was reported that Dan the Man, Bongino, did return to work. No, he did not resign from his position. I'm not saying that that's not going to happen. Yes, folks. I mean, there is going to be differences of opinions. There are probably some pretty brutal conversations going on in regards to moving this country towards it back in a direction of sanity rather than insanity. And so much of it going on right now is insanity. That video in of itself is proof positive that, like Ryan, you just mentioned, the last time we had an attempt on a life where, not that there weren't attempts during, well, I don't think anybody was attempting to kill Joe Biden.
As close as actually being shot at. It's really hard. I mean, we've had threats constantly, I'm sure.
Well, and
physically being shot at.
And one of the things getting to the bottom of it is, why is it that now suddenly, CNN, after 98 Trump rallies, only chose to go live with one Trump rally, and it's the one that he got shot at? Coincidence?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, I want to get to the bottom. So many things I want to get to the bottom of, and there's investigations flying every day. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to get to, Ryan, is they have so many. Just go to Fox News, go to the Federalist, go to Just the News, go to the Florida Voice. I mean, there's so many different places that you can go and look at the investigations that are ongoing, that are being filed every day, the people are calling up. I mean, to unpack the last, as Pozo was saying it, Jack Pozobic from SAS, from the Student Action Summit. Which way do you go? Which direction do you go? What problems do you address? You are triaging these things. I have to tell you that, yes, Trump did campaign, and during his rallies, he did mention the JFK files, the Epstein files. Of course, he didn't talk too much about Sean Combs and those files, or his exposure. But that wasn't the meat of what Trump ran and campaigned on. I believe that Trump wholeheartedly wants to get to the bottom of the Epstein, and I think Bongino is just as passionate. He doesn't want his reputation to be, based on. I knew that was going to happen. But here is Benny Johnson, and I love this little spiel. I mean, I'm not going to play it, but Laura Trump says it, comes flat out and states. Laura Trump says the Trump administration will release more Epstein evidence and will have more transparency. She says that the president hears the base on this issue and knows how important it is, and Trump will set things right. He also says there needs to be more transparency. I think that will happen. I know this is important to the president. He is frustrated. He is going to want to set things right. I believe there will be more coming, and anything they are able to release, they will try to get it out. They hear it and understand it. To anyone worked up out there, there is no plot to keep this information away. I'm sure we will know down the line.
It's interesting that you have a president that actually listens to his base and not just projects what he thinks his base is talking about, because it's one thing, Biden, his aides or his accounts or whatever they're running his accounts on social media, he had no idea what he's doing. He's eating ice cream and taking naps. But
Yeah.
Trump is constantly patrolling his social media accounts and constantly in tune with what people are saying. And the fact that this blew up larger probably than it probably should have, but I think it shows that the movement of the base. We want answers. Now, it can be finicky, when you're a one issue voter, but I think this is something that as a movement as a whole, you've got to congratulate what we've been doing. We're moving the needle every time there's something that we don't think is correctly handled or it's mishandled or it needs to be pushed further. We're pushing. We're holding Trump's administration to the fire and saying, hey, you need to fix this or we're going to get louder. And I think that's a really powerful thing that we're doing. And I don't think it should stop at just for Trump. I think it should continue going as a movement, because this we've been saying all along, this transcends Trump. MAGA is above Trump. It's going to continue after Trump, but you can hold him accountable when you don't see things going the right way with this term limit thing. If you really want this to end, then you need to keep being louder with your representatives to vote for it. Because if the ones that think that they should stay in longer before they enact this, then maybe they should be more serious about enacting some legislation that you've been wanting.
Yeah.
That being loud and being united is better than doing what some of the weak on the right are doing and jumping ship, because you're handing elections to Democrats.
Well, they say that this business of being engaged as a concerned citizen of your country, it's a full contact sport. It's messy.
Mm-hmm.
It has been messy, as Donnie points out. Yes, we know there were going to be pitfalls, but the best part about it, there's also a safety net. It's called the Constitution. As people of faith, our safety net is the Bible, the basic instruction before leaving earth, the Bible, the Holy Bible, because it talks about this. I mean, God, those people were so screwed up in the Old Testament. I mean, because they were constantly disobeying God. They couldn't get it right, king after king after king. They would screw things up. God would try to get them back and blah, 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 blah. And the rest of the story. He had to send his only son to redeem the world from the craziness. Well, this government that we have, it's not perfect. In fact, it says we are trying to form a more perfect union. But we also know what treason is. We know what a violation of the Constitution is. And we're starting to uncover that. You had mentioned about the chaos of the Biden administration and the Biden regime.
Mm-hmm.
We know it was a stolen election. No questions, ifs, ands, buts about it. We're going to get to the bottom of that. You're going to see more testimony given at congressional hearings. They're bringing to task the J6 craziness. Those people, I mean, the auto pen where those people were pardoned. Well, maybe or maybe not. The auto pen, I think, is going to be Trump believes, one of the biggest stories ever in the history of presidential politics or the United States of America. Because if Joe was not signing it, then it was Memorex.
We talked about earlier this morning a little bit about it. The problem is with this whole thing is that there's no precedent on what a president has allowed in the past as far as the auto pen. We know that Obama had it used when he was on overseas trips, so that diplomatic states, he was like, all right, well, I'm overseas, we'll just auto pen it, whatever. That's an expression of permission. For Biden to come out and say, yeah, I approved all the pardons and clemency, and but we have nothing to go on to track that. Did he handwrite permission? Did they aid? The article from the New York Times contradicts what the aides are saying about it too. They're saying they left all kinds of notes and they went by certain details that maybe he didn't give orally. I don't know what their reasoning, but the New York Times piece didn't really give the full story. So I think that definitely does need looked into, but it's the same. I compared it to Trump's document case, his argument. Well, I can just declassify anything I want to. It just comes to fruition. If that's the standard of the presidential power, then the same standard probably will apply to Biden. Because if if Trump's stance is I can declassify it by thinking about it orally or whatever, then Biden can say, yeah, I approved every one of them, and I gave permission. So I don't think there's much to go on here, but it does deserve a look into. I'm not saying that, but I just don't think we have a strong enough case, especially on precedent, because he can just come out and say, yeah, I approved it, or I was aware. And they could have exactly forced him to say, hey, we got an issue. They don't believe that you were writing these and signing off on these. We need to just make a statement to the media like, hey, you orally gave us permission.
But you know the brilliance of why it is they're working the other side of it on Biden's competency, because then it doesn't matter if Joe says I gave permission, because if he wasn't competent and in the position to even give permission,
right,
that's the problem. When the doctor starts pleading the fifth, there's definitely they're going to lean into that really hard. They're going to try to get to the bottom of this. Yes, it needs to be adjudicated is the word they use for there's no question about it. It needs to be made right. We need the truth. No different
we're 6 months in to a presidency that's got at least 3.5 years of doing things. Possibly more with the advent of JD Vance or whoever is coming in that can win. But you've got a presidency currently 6 months in. We've done so much in 6 months that it's hard to fathom that we have more to do in the next 3 years. But we have a lot we have to do.
As promised, let's get to that, Ryan. Tell us about some of the things that we have accomplished in the short 6 months.
Well, unless it's changed in the last few weeks to days, there are currently the lowest apprehensions at the border than the last 4 years to decades. He's got about 1,000 executive orders undoing the Biden administration's hold on the economy. And you've got the reality is that there's two genders. Women's rights are being respected and they are being fought for, and not this whole idea that you can be any gender you want to. President Trump made a declaration that this is reality based. We're not going to live in this fantasy world. The border, the economy. So I got one on because Pritzker came out today and tried to sign an executive order to combat the tariff crisis that he supposedly is a thing. I got a chart here that I found on the Bipartisan Policy website. And I'm not the greatest at explaining, financials of tariffs, but this is a good site to go to if you want to see it. So just the baseline revenue alone for 2025 from tariffs from the border, so that the Border Customs and Border Agency, $100 billion in revenue just this year alone from January 1st to July 14th in gross tariff and other excise tax. Now compare that to relative 2017 to 2025 over the years. Look at the lowest, 22 billion, and where we're at now. You can't mistake that his policies aren't working. We've cut the deficit, the trade deficit, in half. We're looking at a 62 and climbing downward deficit currently. We're up over the 180 range. So his tariffs are working. And to J.B. Pritzker, who says they aren't, you're wrong. But his executive order, let's detail that. He signed an executive order requiring state agencies to come up with a plan to respond to tariffs. So Trump is set to implement new tariffs after previously pausing them for the last 3 months. So J.B. Pritzker signed on Monday requiring Illinois agencies to draft recommendations in response to tariffs implemented by Trump. So if the administration is working on expanding the income from tariffs, as a state, you're working on saying going backwards as a plan that you're going to increase more costs to Illinoisans. Help that make sense. The order requires 7 state agencies to consider specific impacts of the U.S. tariffs had on Illinois, provide draft recommendations and measures to mitigate the impacts of these in the next 100 days, which would be October 22nd. He said in a statement, JB said the tariffs amount to a tax increase on consumers and contribute to economic uncertainty. So without even seeing the full effects of the policy, he's already writing an executive order of the impact of what's going to have in Illinois.
Okay. So lie, because they're going to lie.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of those lies before we have to wrap things up today. Well, there was going to be World War III.
Yeah.
Didn't happen. That was a lie. You know, Trump is going to rob and gut Medicaid. That was a lie. Inflation was going to be out of control. The stock market was going to crash because of the tariffs and the negotiations. Lie, lie, lie. We have the lowest inflation since Biden took office, as Trump left office. We have the highest employment rates, meaning people being employed. The numbers, the job numbers are coming through at record numbers. The stock market has hit an all-time high. Those people that were telling me, I had a family member tell me that the Trump policies were going to take away their retirement income, that it was going to crush their retirement income. Lie, didn't happen. It was, employment rates are there. We haven't seen people being employed like this for a good long time. I mean, I think some of us forget when you have Mrs. Producer gave me this little tidbit before coming on live today. When you have 7.5% inflation, now let's think about that. Bongino did a great job of covering this. Once prices go up, as you're bringing things down to levelize where we are economically, we can't get back what we've already given up. And that's what their ultimate game plan is to crush the economy so that they can then lead us into the new world order, the one world currency, as they planned it, the Green New Deal, spending, trillions of dollars, making sure that everybody has health care. And as far as I know, Ryan, another thing, energy independence. We're so back, right? We are viewed around the world as a nation that everyone wants to be aligned with. And I believe that's even China, because, China, they need us, even though they're trying to destroy us from within. That's their plan. And there's plenty of willing participants in Washington, D.C. that want to help them fulfill that as long as they can fill their pockets.
Let's not underscore the SCOTUS victories as well, given some of the issues we've had with the liberals in the court, and even some of the decisions from the conservative side. Now, I'm one that I don't care if you're conservative or liberal at the court. I want you to adjudicate from the bench from the Constitution perspective. I want you to handle down decisions that have been handed down according to written in the Constitution. So am I going to agree with all the decisions that have been handed down? Probably not. But I want to highlight that there's, I don't know, a couple recently that I can come to mind that among the many that have been won in favor of the constitutional. Presidents have the power to hire and fire and to trim down agencies. And the left and lower courts said you can't. And SCOTUS continues to hand down losses to the left. The president can scale down the agencies as he sees fit. And
the Department of Education.
Yeah, we were talking about.
Yes.
I heard this the other day, and I don't know if it was Glenn Beck or somebody talking about it, but when you're in the private sector and you lose your job, it's terrible. But you know what the majority of Americans do when they lose their job? They find another one.
They get another job. What a concept.
I've never seen the large-scale whining from the government employees that are losing their jobs in this realm of this year starting out. They're sucking their thumbs. They're crying. It's the end of the world. Like, have you ever changed a job? And most jobs in the country, depending on what state you're in, are at-will jobs. You can be fired for whatever reason, and that doesn't even discount government. You can be fired for any reason in the government too. The whining and crying needs to stop. Just go find a job.
Ryan, do you have that video that I sent you of those two people that were on? She was on permanent disability, and I said she. It was he, pretending to be a she. Was on permanent disability, and him or whatever, his significant other was the assistant to help with the needs. So therefore, that's why they had to be on permanent disability. I thought I put that
Did
video.
you send that in the text?
I thought I sent it in a text, but I wish I would have saved that. I don't know where I went with it. It was out there on something. It was this gal this guy. I'm confused because if you see the video, you would be confused too. In fact, utterly, you'd be very blown away. I thought I sent it to our group text between Hannah and you, but maybe it got away. But I didn't do justice. It's out there. I'll put it up on the DPB show if I find it. I was kind of scared to share it because the proclamation, the audacity to come out and say, I'm on permanent disability. In fact, my significant other helps me with figuring out if I have my socks on or not. And that's why I should be. Yeah. I wish
I'm trying to find the other one that I saved. Let's see. Pull this one up because it's a really good. Nope. Stop it. Why can't I?
This one was very G-rated for the fact that you have two people who are obviously
still find it.
very, very confused and very. I thought Mrs. Producer by now might even grab it, but
Here it is. I got one. Let's see if I can play it.
all right, is it G-rated?
Well, probably not. But it is a good one. It's a message to all the idiots crying about their job.
All right, how is it close to PG?
Yes, of course
Okay.
it is.
All right.
It's
All right.
Bongenomics. It's Bongenomics.
Oh, it's Bongenomics. Okay, well there. Okay. Here
This
we go.
was my liberal guide to loan repayment, but it also is a liberal guide economics. I call it Bongenomics. Okay,
Bongenomics.
it's called.
I love
Don't be a fucking bum. Go to work, you loser. Go to work. Here it is, Kamala Harris and all the other lazy slobs out there. Get here. That says rump. That
Rump.
means your ass. Take your ass. You see it? I even point to it. For those of you who don't know, it's in the nether region right here, okay? I'm not a very talented artist. Take your ass. Here's the arrow. It points to this thing that looks like a building. That's called a fucking job. Go get a job, you lazy bums, and you will get money. You will go and get money. That's how you want to talk about income distribution. There is an income distribution center. It's called a job. So here's Bongenomics. Don't be a bum. Don't be a bum. Read it fast. Don't be a bum. Read it slow. Don't be a bum. You can even read it backwards. Don't be a bum. Don't be a bum. No, be a bum. Don't be a bum.
Rump.
Yeah. To the people losing their government job, don't be a bum. Take your ass to find a job
And get a job.
Bongenomics.
You know, Ryan, thank you. That is a good way to end the show because it is hopeful. There are plenty of jobs out there. You can work. You know, even I'm someone that I can't remain idle, and I'll do the dirty jobs. I'll do the clean jobs. Mrs. Producer will do the dirty jobs. She had me literally swinging from the vines here about 2 hours ago, and we did a pretty major cleanup on our property that we're building upon. But I'm not sitting around. I can't sit around because that's not the American way. This country and the founders built this entire nation that we call the United States of America based on blood, sweat, and tears. And, you know, Ryan, you're experiencing that yourself. You're doing a shift in your own daytime thing. You know, most of us have daytime jobs. You know, we've got to go to a job or we have to fulfill bringing in income. And is it easy? No, but I'm not going to make a video as these two people, See, I avoided using the word "see" couple, and like I said, the very confused, mentally ill people who are literally sucking off of the government.
Yeah.
They're part of what the one big beautiful bill is trying
Yes.
to avoid. We do not want people on Medicaid who are able-bodied
Yes.
and
And
able
that's
to
by
get.
design, right? Everybody has a difficult time, a season of life they go through. And there's a lot of people in this country that can't get that handout or hand up because of the fraud, the waste, the abuse of the system. There are so many people on TikTok, X, social media bragging about exploiting the welfare state we have. So, look, if you're in serious need, I'm all for helping out. But if you're young, 16 up until 24, and you have no kids and you're able to work physically, do something, then you should be working.
Well, and beyond. I mean, yeah, there you might have to take a lesser position, whether that's pushing carts at Sam's Club, being a
Right.
personal shopper,
Mhm.
whatever it might be. I mean, there are so many opportunities out there, and they're growing as we put
Yes.
forth. That's one thing about a Trump economy is it's growing, growing, growing. Bongenomics.
Mhm.
Bongenomics. What a way to end the show.
Yep.
Ryan, we've got a lot. Obviously, Thursday is going to come quicker than we could ever imagine. With your new venture, I don't know how long Ryan's going to be able to join us here on the DPB show, but it doesn't matter because we have streaming content always. We're going to figure out. We'll do a workaround because
Yep.
we can.
I will have Sundays off indefinitely. They do not run on Sundays, so I'm coordinating with Rev on doing maybe an extra hour on BPL to do a Sunday night show as a weekly
Yeah.
thing. So
Well, and even something
stay
where-
tuned.
Yeah, I can come in and do.
Yep.
I can come in and do shows. We don't necessarily have to go 4 to 5
Mhm.
because we found that to be a sweet spot. But
Yeah.
everything is fluid.
Mhm.
That's what work is about. It's not easy. It's messy. The dirty jobs. Mike Rowe covers that. Bottom line is, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Had a great message on Sunday. I want to throw a little plug in for the Tabernacle, the Tab. Pastor Timothy James Farrell hit upon hosting the Holy Spirit. Most of us experience a visitation from the Holy Spirit, and we say, "Wow, that was cool. The Holy Spirit came and visited me." Blah blah blah. He talked about being inhabited by the Holy Spirit and how important that is as people of faith to dwell within the Spirit, to have the Spirit inside of you. So your total outlook changes, right? The way you worship, the way you talk, the way you address things in life that come at you. No harm shall come against you. It's what the scripture says. But
Mhm.
then our actions and our works. No, I'm not saying you have to do something in order to achieve eternal life and salvation. No, the Bible's pretty clear on that. Is you believe, confess, believe, and in life in the salvation that Christ has won for you on the cross. That's simple. But I believe the Bible also speaks about the rewards in heaven. And how we act and how we conduct ourselves here on earth is so vital. The mercy we extend, the patience we extend, the love that we extend, the peace we extend, those things are all true. ABC, accept, believe, and confess. Thank you, Mrs. Producer.
Mhm.
And with that, let's accept the fact that this is just after 5:00. We always appreciate you guys once again. Great turnout today. Obviously, that's because Ryan does such a bang up job with the Ryan Mack Show and Boiling Point Live. Appreciate the numbers always. We're here. We're not going away. With that, I'm just going to say a quick blessing. Lord, continue to watch over, bless us, continue to guide us, lead us. Let us have the Holy Spirit truly just move through us and in us so that the world can understand the love that you have for the people, all people. You want everyone to go to heaven. And that's such a cool thing. And for those who are struggling, let them know, Lord, that you are there for them. Hey, we just appreciate you all joining us today. Thank you, Ryan. I love you.
I love you guys.
Jesus loves you more. We will see you back here in just a quick turnaround of a few hours, and we'll be live again here at the DPB show. Until then, I bid you farewell.